All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Great Starts Dog Training Podcast. Today, we are going to talk about understanding the threats of parvovirus. Now, parvovirus is a very dangerous virus that can really negatively impact the lives of our dogs, more specifically and more intensely, puppies. Its specific name is known as canine parvovirus, or CPV, and it's a very resilient and widespread virus that targets the gastrointestinal tract of our dogs. So one of the biggest ways that it spreads is actually through direct contact with infected dog feces or contaminated environments, which is why, listen in here, everybody, it is incredibly important that you pick up after your dog when they go to the bathroom outside. Whether it's your own lawn, whether it's a neighborhood park, a neighbor's yard, just walking down the street, a dog park, wherever it is, pick up after your dog. It's safer for everybody. Especially puppies. Like puppies, that's why it's so important when, everybody says don't take your puppy out to public areas, letting them have contact with the ground until they've had their 3 rounds of initial shots. It's just a very important precaution so that your dog does not increase its chance of getting parvovirus. And depending on your area could have a higher risk of it than others. In a lot of rural communities, there's not a huge push for people to get their animals vaccinated or their dogs vaccinated. And what you see is some of those communities have a much higher likelihood of carrying parvovirus, which means if you are in an area like that, please check to make sure you understand the risk and be careful with what you're doing with your puppy or your older dog. I mean, really, if your dog hasn't been vaccinated for it, they're at risk of it as well. It's just a little bit more severe and risky to treat in puppies. So, we are going to talk about some of the signs and symptoms of parvovirus that you can be on the lookout with your little puppy or your dog. I mean, it could be older, really. The first one is, tummy distress, gastrointestinal distress. It can look like vomiting, it can look like diarrhea. With that, they're going to get rapid dehydration, and they could also exhibit a lot of lethargy. They could really have no energy, quit having a zest for life, and a loss of appetite, and that can look like a lot of different things, which is why it's important to pay attention to what your dog is doing, what your dog is interacting with, where you're taking your dog, just, where are you seeing the differences? Where are you seeing the changes? Another sign is bloody stools, bloody poops. That's one of the very common signs of parvovirus is blood in the stools. And that can kind of indicate that there could be some damage to their intestinal lining. And that's a pretty big complication that you should really seek immediate medical attention for your dog if you're seeing that. And then following along with that is the dehydration and weakness, like we mentioned a little bit ago. Puppies who are infected with it can become dehydrated incredibly quickly because of all the vomiting and diarrhea for their little bodies. They can get really weak. They can have, if you ever see that sunken appearance around their eyes or a human's eyes, you just know that they're sick. And, everybody knows that puppies have pretty crazy energy levels. So if your puppy is kind of showing some of these other signs and they're not having the energy like you're expecting, might need to look into that. And then the other thing that you can look out for, the other symptom, is a high fever. So when your dog has parvovirus, that can often bring on a high fever in puppies. So if you can check your puppy's body temperature, that can give you a lot of really good insights and help you determine, the likelihood of, is this potentially parvovirus? Or just to be on the safe side, even if you're worried that your puppy or your dog may be sick with something, take them to the vet. There's pet insurance out there now. I don't know how helpful that is for some people, but if you're worried that your dog has something going on, take him to the vet. Just do it. It's not gonna hurt anything. And if you do have a dog that is sick with parvovirus, that is hospital stay, vet hospital stay, that's IV, it's an intense treatment. And if you don't catch it soon enough, if you don't treat it aggressively enough, your dog is going to have a much harder time making it through. And we don't want that. I mean, the reason we got the dog is because we love the dog and we want to spend our lives with the dog for as long as we have them. And when we accept that dog into our life, we are there for its well-being, for taking care of it. So if we're seeing any signs that could lead us to think that there could be something going on, take him to the vet. Just get it checked out. So that's one of the things that we need to consider for our prevention, right? We want to prevent these dogs from getting sick. We want to prevent our dogs from getting sick. And with that, comes that proper vaccination, right? When you get a puppy, make sure they receive the complete series of vaccinations, including the ones that are targeting the parvovirus. Now, your vet should absolutely know what viruses are very prone in the area, and they're going to know what your puppy needs. Make sure you are talking to your veterinarian for the vaccination schedule for your puppy, because it's very important that they get their vaccines on a specific cadence to build up that immunity within their body. So that's really important. If you don't have a vet, if you weren't planning on taking the puppy to the vet to do vaccinations, because some places you can actually go and get the vaccines from a local farm store, if you're not incredibly confident in that and you don't know really what you're doing, you just kind of saw it online, just take him to the vet. This is not something you want to risk, because it will end up costing you more money down the road if something is done incorrectly, and now you have a very sick puppy or dog. So get the proper vaccination, right? Next thing, hygiene. Just like in humans, you go to the bathroom, wash your hands. You don't want to live in a pigsty, pick up after yourself. Keep the garbage off of the floor, off of your living area. Make sure your dog has the same hygiene. Make sure that they have fresh water. Clean their water bowl, right? Clean their food bowl. Make sure they have water with them at all times, right? Always water available. Now, there's a whole little sidestep that kind of goes into when you're potty training a puppy. That's a whole different thing. But for the gist of this conversation right now, they got water. They have a clean area to relieve themselves. I am not a recommender of puppy pads when you are potty training your puppy, but again, that's a whole different thing. So if you live in an apartment, if you live in a townhouse community, whatever that might be, and there is shared grass space, what I have seen and what I've recommended in the past is, outside of just finding a secluded spot where it doesn't look like a lot of dogs have gone, that you can let your puppy have a small radius to relieve themselves without getting into anything, that's okay. If you don't have that option and you just see dog stuff everywhere when your puppy's going, have some wipes when you go inside. Wipe the puppy's paws. Clean the puppy's paws when you bring them back inside before they get to licking at them and sniffing them, because believe me, we all know puppies like to sniff, puppies like to get into stuff. If you don't want them to get into it, they're going to get into it. So that is a really important thing to consider. If you are able, what I have seen is there's fake grass pads that you can get. So it's not necessarily a puppy pad, but it is a grass pad with fake grass, and you put that outside, so your dog is still not relieving themselves inside. You put that outside, either on a deck or wherever you can do that, and you let them relieve themselves on that pad. Even if you have it inside and you take it out with you when your dog goes potty, just so they can solely stand on that, relieve themselves, pick them up, then clean the thing, put it in your storage area, wherever you can do that, after it's clean, of course. I've seen people do that as well and have some success. If you do have your own house, though, your own yard, sure, their own feces is definitely not as high of a risk to them, but you still need your dog to have a clean atmosphere, right? You don't want them stepping in poop. You don't want them, having crap all over the place, because then they're going to bring that inside. Now that poses a health risk to the humans, and it still poses a health risk to your puppy. So just have good hygiene, right? It's one of those falls under common sense kind of things. Have good hygiene for yourself, good hygiene for your puppy, good hygiene for your dog. Next thing, which this is more so if your dog or a dog that you know is sick, please don't take them on puppy play dates. Don't take them to a puppy play group. Don't take them to puppy training, whatever it is. Don't take them. Okay? Like we've discussed, viruses between dogs is spread through contact. Viruses are spread through other dogs getting sick. It's a ripple effect that is going to make it worse for everyone. Like, just keep your sick puppy at home, or if they have to go to the vet is going to give you the instructions that you need to do to keep your puppy in a safe environment and reduce the risk of other puppies getting sick, because nobody wants to be the cause of another dog getting sick, and we certainly don't like when our own dogs are sick. So it's very important that if our puppy or our dog are sick, take him to the vet, get him checked out, make sure nothing is incredibly bad, and help them get back to good health. So this can be a very scary topic if you are new to dog ownership, if you don't understand what this virus is, what it can do, how much it can cost to get the treatment. And even if you do the treatment, depending on how severe your dog or puppy is sick, it's not a guarantee. It is absolutely a fight every step of the way. And the vets who have treated this, the technicians who have treated this, they know just how difficult it can be. So be aware, be sure of what your puppy is doing, where your puppy is going, the hygiene that your puppy has. Be cautious of having your dog play with other dogs that might not be vaccinated to a good enough level to reduce the risk of spreading anything they could possibly have. There's just a lot of things to be cautious about. It's not to say it's all doom and gloom and never take your puppy anywhere. There's just good practices to upkeep. There's important precautions to have in place so that you reduce that risk, and your puppy gets the treatments that they need, and they can grow, they can become a happy, healthy young adult dog, and next thing you know, you are just on your way for the next 10, 15 years, hopefully. That'd be fantastic, with your dog, and you don't have to worry about the severe risk of Parvovirus as much as before. So be aware, know the facts, talk to your vet, take caution. Don't just throw your puppy into stuff, and you are going to do just fine. So that is that for this one. I hope you guys are enjoying the time that you have with your dogs, and please make sure that they are getting the proper veterinary care that they need. Make sure they're up to date on their shots, their boosters, all that fun stuff. If your dog is not spayed or neutered yet, please consider going and getting them spayed or neutered. There are thousands upon thousands of dogs in shelters right now, and just do the right thing. Get your dog spayed or neutered. It's healthier for them in the long run, and it will prevent the mishap of oopsie litters and less dogs hopefully filling shelters or running wild, and we don't want that. So take care of yourself, take care of your dog, and we'll see you on the next one.